Good evening, folks. Red County, Blue Nation, Westcliff, Colorado, great states of Americans. Got a special one for you tonight. Stephen Rorick here, Michael Boring on the console, James McMahon, he's coming in. We got two guests tonight. We got Taylor Lo Presti and we got Hans Prahl. Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Fantastic, Steve. In fact, I just wanted to say I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm excited to get this kicked off.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, we've been trying to get it going for a week or two here. Last week we got shut down. We didn't have no internet, and somebody said, well, didn't matter because nobody could have watched it anyhow.
That's right.
So,
Internet, yeah.
it is what it is. But I guess, Taylor, if you would, so I mean, I think a lot of people kind of have an idea of what's going on here, but for everybody that doesn't, you and I got to talking about some things, and I kind of brought up to you that maybe we needed some help, and we were talking about some of the county objectives or county predicaments or county goings-ons or whatever you want and however you want to describe it. And I was mentioning to you that in your district, which is Bill Canada's district, he will be term limited this year. And so we've been thinking for, people have been wondering for a year or two who we might get to run in that district. And after I mentioned something to you, you thought you might decide maybe you had a little interest. So with that being said, can you tell us a little bit about some of your background? And
Certainly. Thanks, Steve. I was born into the military. My father was Air Force. I grew up a military brat. Mom and Dad met while Dad was a cadet at the Air Force Academy. Mom grew up in Pueblo, and her father's hobby on the weekends was coming out here to Westcliff, buying and selling ranches and playing cowboy on the weekends. I grew up kind of in that same vein as well. We would come out here to Colorado every summer, and since I was born. I lived in Pueblo the first year of my life when my father was in Vietnam. But we'd come out here and spend time in the valley, and ever since then, as I was growing up as a young man, I spent time on my uncle's ranch down in the southern part of the valley working with Harvey Giroux and Albert Hansen and some of the other folks that were there, and Steve and his father. And loved every moment of it, picked up, learned how to ride horses and just became part of this valley. I love this valley. I've made it my home now. And just recently retired last summer from the Department of Justice. Spent 21 years there. But prior to that, I spent my last 2 years of high school in Colorado Springs, and again coming down here as often as we could, and did my time up at school at University of Northern Colorado, and graduated with a degree in economics with a minor in business and a minor in computer information systems. And shortly after graduating, I got married, and we briefly moved to Castle Rock. And after about 3 months, moved to Colorado Springs. I worked for MCI Telecommunications Company, which no longer exists. But after 5.5 years of doing that, Oracle came to town, and I jumped over to Oracle and became a database administrator for 5.5 years. And somewhere along the way there, I kind of got bit by the bug and joined the El Paso County Sheriff's Department. I was a reserve deputy or posse member for 3 years, and saw some really neat stuff. Enjoyed the job. And I said, you know what, I want to do this. I want to serve my country in a capacity, a different capacity, and signed up with the DEA. I was a DEA agent, went to the Air Force, once I got hired, I went to Quantico, spent about 4.5 months out there at the same place that the FBI trains. Beautiful campus, just a wonderful place to be. And my first assignment was Los Angeles. Had never been to Los Angeles, but figured it would be a great place to be as a criminal investigator and special agent out there. And I wasn't wrong. It was a lot of fun. It was busy. I learned more than I can even say at this point. But I first 3 years, basically running wiretaps and writing court documentation and running investigations. But just a fantastic first 3 years. My second 3 years I spent as in a group called we referred to it as the Google Group. And the Google Group were a group of folks, group of agents and task force officers, meaning Los Angeles Police Department and county deputy sheriffs who were detectives, narcotics detectives. And we investigated narcotics crimes utilizing technology-based investigative techniques over the internet. And that was kind of a first thing that really hadn't happened throughout DEA at that time. That was fascinating. After that, I moved to a sensitive investigations unit where we investigated narco-terrorism. And narco-terrorism meaning narcotics being bought and sold from the Middle East or Central Asia. And we'd investigate those folks from our home base in Los Angeles. We'd do that via techniques, internet techniques and some of the financial tools that we had to be able to investigate folks. That was very rewarding. From there, I promoted to a supervisor, moved out to Riverside, and spent better part of a year and a half out there, and ran a fantastic group of people, just had a blast. A lot of work out there in Riverside. And then I moved back to Los Angeles, Riverside again, just 2 hours away from LA. Moved back to Los Angeles, and I was offered the opportunity to take over our communications interception facility, otherwise known as the Wire Room, and spent about 2.5 years there, 3 years, and was then tapped to go to headquarters, which is in Washington, D.C., and spent 2.5 years at our tech facility there and managed a fantastic group of people there who were primarily network technicians, financial folks, and people that actually ran the facility. My job was the infrastructure supervisor. So I picked up a lot of knowledge there, a lot of financial background. And going back to the financial background, day one when you're on the job as an agent, you have to know the finances behind your investigation. You have to know how much money you have. You have to be able to budget your investigation. Investigations aren't cheap. And if you step out of line with finances, that's the first thing that'll get you wrapped around the axle. So we, again, that's just carried on into management, becomes even more important when you're in management because you're watching the other people, you're keeping an eye on them, you're keeping an eye on the agents in your group and making sure that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing and managing their books. But it's, again, finances are extremely important. But from the tech facility, from there, I promoted one more time to GS-15 position. I was the senior advisor for our chief information officer. Did that for about 2 years, had a fantastic time doing that. Again, learned, kind of made that full circle going from the information tech background, made that full circle right back around to the information systems office for DEA. Fantastic people, wonderful people, just an incredible, and the mission of DEA is just an incredible mission. But I kind of hit that magic age, or was coming up to it. 57 years old is the cutoff age for the 1811 series that I had, and it was time to leave. So I figured I'd go out a few months early on my own, and my wife and I purchased a trailer and drove cross country. Spent a couple of months just making our way across, and came back to Westcliff. My wife and I purchased a place out here. We actually own Grandma's house. I don't know, most of you probably know where that is. We purchased that about 10 years ago with kind of the idea of putting together a very small craft brewery. And when this opportunity came up, I discussed it with my wife, and bless her heart, she pointed me in the right direction, and she said, well, you have to choose. It's going to be either business or it's going to be the county commissioner. And it took me 3 seconds to make that choice. I said, okay, we'll hold off on the business at this point, and we're going to pour all of our efforts into running for county commissioner, and bringing this county, making Custer County the gem of Colorado, and as an example to the other counties, what a great county this is, and how just our finances are tight, and as well as not just Colorado, but throughout the nation as well. I'd really love Custer County to be that gleaming example of a very, very well-run county. But
Yeah, that.
sorry I droned on. But
No, that's
please,
perfect.
Steve, go ahead.
Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate it. That's actually quite an impressive little stint there.
Yeah, no kidding.
That you've been through. I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's why when I was discussing it with you, of course, I know your folks real well, and of course your uncle, and we've been involved with each other for quite some time, decades by now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So after, I thought I thought it would be a good idea to propose to you about, bringing some of your expertise maybe to the county level here. And I'd also, just for the record, if you could tell them, Taylor, about the pay. Tell them that you thought it was a volunteer position.
I did. I thought county commissioner was a voluntary position. In my mind, it really should be. You're serving the people of this county, and that's an honor in and of itself. And to be paid to do it, I was kind of blown away. And I mean, that's certainly a benefit, but again, it's certainly not why I'm doing. I would love to have this job. I want to serve the people, the good people of our county, Custer County, and again, make our county the best managed, best financed county in the nation, and just have this a great place to be, and a great place to live, great place to come, and
you keep saying this service part of you, Taylor, and I think, sorry to butt in or anything, but I'm Hans Prahl, live here locally in Custer County. I had the feed store restaurant. I'm pretty interested in politics and kind of things that are going on in the world.
Yeah, go ahead, Hans, and give us a little bit of some of your background.
Yeah. Sorry to cut in.
No.
But
you've got a fascinating background.
Well, yeah. So I've been in the military for 21 years. I was in the Marine Corps and in the Colorado National Guard. I worked in intelligence, so signals intelligence. So the wire room. I think I'm pretty familiar with some of the stuff that goes on in there.
Sure.
And also human intelligence. I was an interrogator. I did some low-level source operations in Baghdad in 2009, 2010, some field interrogations in the back of a Humvee. Did that twice. That was a little interesting. In the middle of the night, go bring people out of their beds and go have a conversation with them with the translators. Kind of interesting. But no, so I just, after that, I owned a Florence Brewing Company down in Florence as well.
Fantastic. I mean, you ran a fantastic brewer down there.
You're too kind. But I think that's kind of how Taylor and I initially kind of kicked it off, as we talking beer and stuff, and it's just I personally, since I met you, I'm impressed with the level of commitment that right off the bat, you're a serious person, your accountability, and the fact that you just want to serve your community. I mean, I can't really think. I mean, it does give me chills a little bit, because there's a lot of people in politics that do things for themselves, right?
Most all of it's that way.
Yeah. And so to get people who are not politicians, to get people who are patriots, to get people who are statesmen, to get people who want to do better for the community, selfless service, and I think those people are hard to find. And the fact that you and your wife, and it's important, obviously, you get your wife on board.
Sure.
I think that's the most commendable thing. So I'm pretty excited to kind of see your ideas and things like that, and and I'm here to support and do whatever I can to help, and Steve and Jimmy over here, and he's coming in a minute, I think. But
yeah, he's got tied up at the milking parlor.
Got tied up with the milk cows. You got to get that work done, But You know, I think something's starting here. I mean, if anybody's watching national politics and when things that are going on, there's a big movement across this.
And if you would,
Country.
Hans, go ahead and explain a little bit what you did for President Trump.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was back in the presidential election back November of last year. I was actually started in September. Through a friend, I got hooked up with a deal to go down and actually work knocking doors. You know, actually, I wasn't knocking doors. I was going around supervising the people that were knocking doors, making sure they're doing their jobs. Mm-hmm. And so I was actually part of that grassroots level campaign, seeing that all the way from knocking doors, and then the election happened. And then they have a thing called curing ballots. So they have a sick ballot. So like in Colorado, we do all this mail-in voting, right? Well, you do the mail-in voting. If your name's wrong or it doesn't match up, that ballot doesn't count. And so in Colorado, you have a certain amount of time after the election. I believe it's something like a week or two. Don't quote me on that, but you can actually knock on doors and talk to people so they can cure their ballots. And then after that, I actually got called into Iowa. They did the recount in Iowa last year. I was actually there as an observer for the Republican Party, you know, observing some of that stuff, you know. And then just this last couple months ago, I was in Wisconsin. There was a big Supreme Court race up there. So I was doing the same thing, walking around, knocking doors. So I learned a lot about the political, the grassroots things and how to actually, how it actually works. And before I went down there, I was a little skeptical about, you know, there's no way there's election fraud. There's no way there's, you know, shady stuff going on. But after seeing that, and I physically saw a bunch of things, which I can tell you stories, I'm 100% convinced that there is election fraud. And a lot of it's with the mail-in voting. Yep. Honestly, there's just different ways to cheat and go around that. And, you know, I'll say this out loud. If you don't think it's happening in Colorado, you're wrong. You know, that there is election fraud happening, and, you know, maybe not at the local level, but definitely up at the state level. There's a lot of shady things going on with Secretary of State and stuff. So
there's definitely something going on, or Tina Peters wouldn't be in prison.
Correct. Yeah. Wow. Free Tina Peters.
It's despicable. Yeah. It's despicable.
It is. It really is. I mean, that's really a complicated situation. But when you have somebody that's trying to look out for the better, and then they go in and they scrub this stuff. And that's happened here at the county level too. I mean, a lot of that had to do with the COVID money. And at the end of the day, I mean, like, there's really no crime for the way that they spent the COVID money. It's just ethical, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously, though, they're ashamed of what they've done, or they would bring that to the forefront.
Sure.
And that's something that we need accountability for is the bookkeeping. And I mean, it's such an ornery thing. Everybody that I talk to, and all anybody really cares about is keeping the finance straight. Mm-hmm. Right? What you feel about this, or what you think about that, or you know, what goes on behind closed doors. That's most people don't care about that. What they care about, the determining factor of what separates one crowd from the other crowd, and there's only one side of the fence or the other, is the way that money is spent. Mm-hmm. Right? If you're conservative and fiduciarily responsible, you want to be accountable. And then you have the other side, which is, we'll just keep spending money because that's what we're used to doing.
Right. When you become fiscally irresponsible, I mean, not only you can get yourself wrapped around the axle. Hey, what's up, Jimmy?
Hey, Jimmy.
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
100 miles an hour.
Did you beat the sheriff here? Kidding. But you know, if you become fiscally irresponsible, not only are you hurting yourself, but you're hurting the taxpayers. You're hurting the county. You know, it's not extremely hard. It is challenging to put together a financial system and to put policies and to put, you know, rules and regulations for the people who have their hands on the money. It is very challenging, but it's not hard. There are so many systems out there. There's off-the-shelf software with AI included that you can just put right on the top of an existing database. It'll pull all the information out of that database, and it'll categorize it, per whatever data sets you have, types of data. And I mean, whether you have, if you're, and I'll give you a perfect example. We were given credit cards as agents in the field. We were given those credit cards only to be utilized for gasoline or maintenance on your vehicle. And if those were abused and used for anything else, guess what? You had internal affairs or officer of professional responsibility knocking on your door saying, hey, what's going on here? And being called before the man is not a pleasant thing. And the punishment behind that can be either days off or up to firing somebody for irresponsible money management. And again, that's a very small example, but we had different pockets, and when I first started, everything was on paper. Even though we had computers for certain information system things, you can still run a paper system and keep it organized and keep it, easily accessed. But, we would have separate buckets for gasoline, or we had separate buckets for maintenance on your vehicle. But if something got mixed up, that's bad news. That's bad juju. You'd get in trouble for just getting something in the wrong bucket. So finances, government-wide, are extremely important. And when you have a very limited budget, you have to work with the other people in your group to either execute fewer surveillances because you're utilizing gasoline. You only have a certain amount of gasoline. So either you double up in vehicles, or you utilize a street team from the Los Angeles Police Department or the Sheriff's Office to execute your surveillances for you. But there were, again, you had to maintain, your budget. And when you strayed from that, sorry, you're going to have to close your case down as a worst example. But again, just as a small example. And I did want to say one more thing, because Jimmy, a couple of weeks ago, when we had the meet and greet, you said something to me that really struck home. And when I think I mentioned, I said, look, I am not a politician. I'm not a politician. I am conservative. I've always had conservative ideals, but I'm not a politician. And Jimmy, you said, Taylor, we don't need a politician. We need a statesman. Absolutely. We need somebody to come in and make some sense of what's going on in some of the challenges that I've heard about in the county right now.
I would like just even an explanation from the leadership that we have in there now. Why can't we get a monthly statement? How come the books aren't able to be looked at by a common constituent, being able to say, okay, well, we see where the money's going? I would like to know, why is the dysfunction happening right now? And that's what I'd like to see, is some pressure put on the people that are there now. And try to get, let's see where the problems are. Let's just recognize the situation for what it is, call it out for what it is, and then have people that have that good common sense that can say, well, here's the problem, this is what we need to do. But just to keep just whitewashing things and kind of sweeping stuff under the rug and really not bringing, the books are the big thing. Absolutely. The money, tracking the money. You might waste it, but let us know where it went. Well, we don't even know where it's gone.
We've had this conversation quite a few times, and I think we've come to the conclusion the reason why it's not a mechanical thing, it has to do with the people don't want it to be that way. The people that are involved, the people that are running the show over there, don't want us to see that stuff. That's why it's not transparent.
So that's where when I stumbled across that statute that says if a constituent sees a suspicious behavior in the county, you can make out an affidavit about the suspicion, and then you can call the DA, and the DA must investigate. It's not a maybe or wants to or maybe whatever. He has to investigate it. He has to. So the suspicious behavior is, look, what's really going on here? Is it your buddy? You can't fire somebody? Is there an inadequacy? Is there something happened in the past that you're trying to hide? The suspicion really starts to build especially when we're 7 years into this thing and it still hasn't, we haven't got it turned around, and then it looks like we're hiring somebody that's going to help us. And then you ask them, are you going to go back? Are we going to straighten out the CIC, the double entry bookkeeping stuff? Are we going to fix that so that we have transparency and accountability? All it was a facade.
No, we can't.
And nothing ever took place.
We can't do that. And that's what we were just talking about, Taylor. There is tools, AI tools now that can just pick all that stuff up. They're over there shredding documents. I mean, it is so fishy that it stinks like the ocean. That's what's up. That's all there is to it. I mean, there's so much suspicion that, I mean, when you understand human nature and human behavior, you know, something small, maybe somebody was a little off kilter that day, or they were thinking about something else and they made a mistake or whatever, they weren't there or they weren't present or whatever. Okay, right? But day after day after day after year of there's no accountability. I mean, the Justice Center is one of the big things. We voted that down. We've talked about it. We've been in and out, and everybody thinks, well, that's already water under the bridge. They're not going to do it. Well, they're doing it again.
That's something that I found to be slightly incredulous. When you first told me about that, you know, my background, I mean, I worked for the jail in El Paso, you know, on my weekends, you know, and had fun doing that. But, you know, I'm not exactly sure how many people are in Custer County. I want to say 5,000, something around that number. But I still have to find out, you know, there's information out there, I'm sure. In fact, I need to visit the sheriff's office here, but I need to find out how many people are arrested monthly, weekly, annually. And then I'd like to go up to Fremont County, which is where the inmates are taken, well, the arrestees are taken and dropped off as inmates in Fremont County. Well, I'm not sure if Fremont County is overloaded. I certainly don't think so. But I mean, is it any skin off of their backs if they take our arrestees? I certainly don't think so. I understand we actually pay them a little bit of cash to take care of them.
We do, and that's one of the things that's been going on here. That's this undertone of the liberals at the higher levels that are not doing what the constituents want them to do. So what they're doing is, I mean, they're literally you hear rumors now about the state doesn't want to manage their own prisons or their own inmates. They want to send it back to the county levels. And like, where is that disconnect, right? There's no constituents that want that to be the case, right? It's Florence, Fremont County is what it is. I mean, they got the Supermax. They have more facilities in Fremont County than almost anywhere in the whole darn world, right? Concentration-wise.
Right, federal and local.
Yeah, and state, right?
Yeah.
All three. And so why? It's back to the money, right? Why would this little town want to spend $20 million and end up being $40 million by the time you pay the interest on it? Why would they want to do that if somebody's not going to benefit financially?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't behoove us. This is not a prison county, right? Fremont County is, but Custer County is not, right? This is a high mountain valley that's pristine. Why would we want inmates, and why would we want a territorial prison, right? So that everybody wants to try to put this Justice Center off like, oh, we need this and we need that. But at the end of the day, the guys the proponents, Shannon, Byerly, and all them guys, I mean, ultimately it was a territorial prison is what they're trying to set up. They're trying to set it up big enough to where they can bring in inmates from other areas. And that kind of goes back to what I first started with, is the state is trying to put all this responsibility back on the counties. And it doesn't make any sense. They're the ones that make all the money. They're the ones that have the money. And so you're going to try to burden us. We'll never be able to pay for this Justice Center I mean, our kids will be paying on that bad boy.
Extremely expensive.
And another crippling part to all that is how much nursing and care of a
Well, yeah,
somebody that's incarcerated.
that's yeah,
It's unbelievable.
because it used to not be that way.
So now we have people that are on different drugs. They have to have medication. You have to look after their welfare, and they're already a mess. And then they got pulled over for something. Now they become an extreme liability on society. How does that happen?
well,
That's the time and place we're in.
that's the legislators, right? I mean, 15, 20 years ago, you didn't have to have 24-hour-a-day medical care at this small little jail. You didn't need it. It wasn't required. So now, as the more liberal, left-leaning people get into positions of power in legislation, they begin to put these actions in place. That's the reason why we can no longer afford the jail that we have, is because we can't afford 24-hour-a-day medical treatment. That's why we don't have. So that's what I've been saying the whole time. Why these people think that you're going to put in a $20 million justice center? You can't pay for the little bit of the 24-hour-a-day medical service that you need now. What makes you think that you're going to do that with a $20 million justice center? Where's the money going to come from for the care? You can't afford it now. Right. It's like you can't afford gas for your Pinto, but you want a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Right?
And Steve and Jimmy, I mean, Hans, this is, it's all continuing money. You have to pay the deputies. You've got to pay for security systems. I mean, the security systems that are required now, the cameras and the locks on the gates and the internal doors, extremely expensive. And the upkeep on that
Just
is
the janitor.
just insane.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
a general
Security
question.
clearance for the janitor
Right?
costs money.
A general question is, so how would that benefit the people that live here in Custer County?
It's not going to. The only people that it's going to benefit are the people that somehow have their finger in the pie. And we're not going to name any names tonight. I mean, I might.
It ain't over.
Tom Flower, right? Shannon, Ann Barthrop, Bill Kanda. All y'all are the problem, right? We know that you made money off of this, Ann. We know that you made money off the brokering of this deal. Right, you're going to take some ground that's worth $129,000 appraised value, right? You can't erase that, right? It's still on the Custer County Assayer's website, right? That ground was valued at $129,000. You paid $876,000, and you got paid, and you know you did, and we know you did too. We know you got paid in cash, so we can't track it down. But your time's coming, right? You can't keep pushing this down our throat, Bill. Bill, your problem is you say, well, I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. All this is CORA. It's Colorado Open Records Act, right? All the information should be at the courthouse, but it's not. It's at your personal office, Bill. What's the matter here, Bill?
More suspicion.
Yeah.
So it's a pattern of suspicious behavior.
Like
and
what?
It's not one person. It's a whole group of people.
Obviously, you're hiding something, or it wouldn't be at your own private office.
The minutes of discussing purchasing the property, buying the property before it went before the voters. There's a lot of unethical behavior that took place that's just bizarre, unethical behavior. And it's a whole list of issues. It's not just the Justice Center. I mean, the Justice Center you got here, and then there's 15 other crazies underneath it. And then you got the accounting. And then you got 25 crazies that's happened there. So it's not, it's just a continuous.
And it's ludicrous, right? Why would they negotiate a piece of property? Okay, say you really did want to, say that you really thought you needed it. Okay, you're going to tie the county up for 10 years at $50,000 a year because the Chet Haga Trust got a third of that, they said, as a charitable donation, so they got a huge tax break. So we only had to pay $500 and some thousand. We're still going to be paying through that for 2030. But the most ornery part to me is why the clause is in the lease contract, the sale lease contract, or whatever the hell this thing is, right? It's a purchase, but yet you can't do anything with it because it's a lease. So, I mean, it's really funny, and whoever orchestrated that knew what they were doing. But why are you going to say in there that you can only use that ground for a government building? They can't sell it. They can't lease it. They can't do anything with that property except for put a government building on it. Now, who negotiated that? And
That's what I'm saying. So there should have been meetings of a minute. You know,
and there was all that stuff, but we can't get to it because they tried to, they're hiding all that stuff.
Well, and then you go to some of these things where they were going to discuss it in the courthouse, and you go to YouTube and they start to run it, and it goes for about 3 minutes, and then it's shut down. More suspicious behavior. I just wish they'd come clean. I don't really care. We could flush the toilet and go on, but let's come clean and start fixing it. Somewhere along the line, we need to say, yeah, we did some whoopsie daisies, and then let's go on. Otherwise, I'm thinking we need to be brutally in the law and investigate to the point where somebody goes to jail.
Or if somebody loses their pension.
Somebody loses their pension.
All of
whatever
that.
the consequences, because herein lies the problem. There are no consequences. And there is the problem. We, the people, have been not doing we just don't do our job.
Well,
And that's what this is about here right now, is
That-
we, the people, getting involved.
That's
And, man,
why-
I appreciate the two of you guys being here right now. Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that too, Jimmy, because in federal government, a lot of times there's very few consequences, you know, to actions. And when you see that, it's very, very frustrating, you know, when somebody does something and there's no consequence
Hillary?
to their wrongdoing. It's like, well, I'm doing it the right way. Why should I be punished doing it the right way? Regardless, I truly want to believe that there was certainly no malintent behind, you know, what some of the decisions that were made. I don't think I'm naive about that, but Jimmy and Steve have done some digging and some investigating, and I certainly commend that. I need to do my own investigating and learning about things, but it's hard for me to believe that any malintent was behind this, if it was just, you know, I don't know.
Why would you pay 5 or 6 times what a
Yeah,
piece of
I can't
property is
explain
worth,
that.
and
I
then
can't.
lock it down to the only thing you can put on it as a government building?
Yeah.
Right? You obviously didn't have the constituents' best interest in mind to do an action like that.
Well,
And they ended up, Ann was the head of the committee, and Bill and Jay Prince and Tom passed that all through just like nothing.
Well, and a lot of the cool thing about the commissioner meetings is their audio and video recorded. So we've got like 700, almost 800 videos of where you can see some of the discussions and some of their behavior. And when you look at some of the conversations and what's taken place, you can see there's something funny going on there. Mm-hmm. You don't have the honesty and sincerity that an individual being a public servant would lend to the public. You have some kind of agendas and hidden ego, whatever is going on there. And I like how you say it's we don't know that there was some malice, you know. Did they intentionally do it? I'm going to say, I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I've tried to. And I've tried to ask questions to get the answers, to remove the doubt. And it's only been perpetuated. The suspicion's just been heaped on and heaped on and heaped on. So I personally, if it costs us $500,000 and my roads don't get done and we do without some other stuff, this thing's got to get resolved. And then when other people show up, at least the runway's clear. You know, there's not this cloud of whatever it is. You know, let's get it cleaned up. Now, we the people have to use whatever tools that are available to get the investigation and make things happen.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to put my name on
Well, and I think a potential olive branch, if you will, maybe is, you know, is there a possibility of welcoming an outside audit? You know, would the people we're talking about, would they would they accept an outside audit of their financial records?
So you bring up another topic. We had a gentleman that's an auditor, I mean, big time. Multi-million dollar, maybe even billion-dollar corporations. He knows about accounting. He knows how to set different software up. I mean, so we were trying to get him in there to help them.
And
No way, not happening.
just a big no.
And the reason was oh, he's going to be too hard to get along with. Oh, he wants to run everything. Well, you're not running it.
Well,
The
yeah,
people in charge ain't doing a
And
good job.
the thing is he had nothing to gain.
There was nothing to gain.
There was nothing.
It was for free.
Everybody said, well, he's going to have too much power. Really? How can you have too much power when you're just crunching numbers?
Right.
Here again, this man has crunched numbers and he's seen Social Security numbers. He's had intimate, knowledge about a lot of pretty big things. So I think his clearance is probably all right. But we've got somebody in there that doesn't have any clearance, couldn't find his ass with both hands on a good day, and he's was IT guy, now he's finance. He was the person that should have came flush to the public and said, hey, we don't have the talent in this building to do what we need to do.
But
Vern Roth should have came forward and said, we are incapable of running this. And he has a responsibility as an employee receiving money from the taxpayer. Every one of them need to be held accountable because that's the law. If you see something going awry, you need to stop and tell the authorities right away because it's not your money. They take the money at gunpoint from us. You don't pay your taxes, we're taking your stuff. So you have to pay taxes. For them to despitefully use us and to go down this road of mistrust and misfeasance. It is absurd for a little bitty county like this to even have this discussion. But it all kind of started during COVID. The sky was falling. People were losing their minds. I remember Vern going, we got to order 1,000 body bags. I'm like, really? I don't even have a mask, dum-dum.
For COVID?
Yeah. There was some bizarre behavior that took place. And only a handful of people were watching it. I went in and said, "What? That mask ain't doing nothing for you. It's a virus." That's bullshit. It's stupid. They laughed me out of there. I said, we need vitamins. We need to build our natural immune system. We need to get people out in the sunshine. This lockdown thing is a hoax. And it's audio and videoed. It's audio and videoed of that meeting. So that's what I'm talking about. All of this stuff has personally irritated me to the point where the leadership is just full of darkness. And that's the way I see it. Somebody needs to go in and say, okay, this is where we went wrong and start, because they're not going to do it. They're up against it.
So with all this being said, Taylor, and hypothetically, if that was the case, then what would you propose to maybe as a solution?
Well, there's a number of solutions that can be made.
Absolutely.
In fact, we need to think innovatively. That's an extremely hard thing to do. Thinking outside the box, thinking innovatively. It goes against kind of what you're used to. You want to know that you have all the answers, and to think innovatively. I mean, all four of us here. In fact, Hans. I mean, owning your businesses and being in the military. I'm sure you've. It's not easy to think innovatively.
There is no box.
There,
Don't think outside of the
go.
box. There is no box.
I live in that world.
I do too.
But
That's a great point.
But collectively, the four of us don't have the answers. But collectively, we do. You out there watching us, we have the answers. We just need them brought up. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican or independent, you have ideas that can be heard. This is a wonderful country where we can do that.
Absolutely.
You can put out your ideas. You can visit the council meetings. You can visit the board of trustees meetings in Westcliff, or come to a commissioners meeting and in the right fashion put your ideas across. And it's it's there for the picking.
Yeah,
you
and
just
that's-
have to listen to the folks out there.
I think you're 100% right. I mean, we live in this constitutional republic, right? Not a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic where the people are supposed to have the power.
Absolutely.
Where the people are supposed to be the we do not serve the government is supposed to serve us, right? And I think that nationwide for a long time things have been kind of flipped. There is a movement right now. If I'm assuming people are paying attention to the TV and kind of what's going on. But your president, our president is making headway with digging this up, making changes, rooting out, and spreading sunshine. Just bring everything to light. Transparency, the truth,
So
right?
the same thing that's going on in that realm is right here in little old Custer County realm. That demonic deal or whatever it is, I can't even explain it. It's like, really, you guys just can't come up with just explain to us what happened.
Well,
Just let us know. But the other thing I want to do say, Hans, because you brought this when you were talking, you stimulated a standard in my mind, and it is a republic of law.
Yes.
So when you take an oath, you're an elected official. You take an oath. So that puts you in a box. You're damn straight. You're in a box. You can't make decisions outside of that. That breaches your oath. Now you're treasonous. These people don't have a clue on what that means. It doesn't mean, wait a minute, anything that I'm in charge of, if something's going wrong here, I have to stop it. I have an oath that I've taken, an obligation, a duty. It's a duty of care. These guys don't have that in their consciousness. They don't have it. It's like, we're a team, and if you don't tell on me, I won't tell on you. Oh, well, he's got something on so-and-so. You better not do that. Don't fire him. He knows what happened over here. He was the IT guy and in finance. He was here with Braden Wilson. So some of us intimately could see what was taking place, and the little compromises and the integrity just completely shattered. And they all kind of just watered themselves down from what I could see.
Transparency is essential. Essential.
It's mandatory. And for the life of me, this thing has got to the point where I don't know how to solve it. I'm a thinker. I can think. I'm really good at thinking. That's what I do. I'm a thinker. I'm a problem solver. Steve's is too.
Yeah.
We run across stuff. It's like, now what do you do?
So you're thinking innovatively, and
That's
very
constantly.
very few people.
That is my whole life. Being a farm kid, and then being plumber, carpenter. There's always there are no problems. There's just solutions. So
There
you
you
face
go.
the challenges, and I think
There
that's
you
what's
go.
so irritating about what's going on here is. If I did something like that, I'd be in jail.
Yeah.
If I even thought about doing something like that, I would be in jail.
Yeah, and I think everybody just held to the same standard. Enforce the laws on the books.
Absolutely.
And that's and just hold yourself accountable to the same standard.
Seems pretty simple, don't it?
Well, common sense.
Common sense.
So common sense
sense.
is gone. When we say common and then we say sense.
Yeah.
Common. Okay, that means it's pretty much everybody's got it. It's common.
Yeah.
The sense part is gone, and I don't know where we lost it. I'm not sure where accountability and saying, "Oh, wait a minute, I made a mistake." I don't know where that's gone.
Yeah.
Honesty and sincerity is not there. It's not. It's just not there.
Between the education system and the consequences, right? There's no consequences for doing something bad.
That's it. It's the lack of consequences.
So we, the people, have
It's the lack
failed
of consequences.
to give the consequences to the people that are in charge. And there are statutes out there that give us the ability. Now, we had the Linda Stanley ordeal for the DA. She was dysfunctional. We couldn't ask her to do anything. There again, that was another elected official that extorted her position. Now that we have Jeff Lindsay He's got a pretty good posse of people together. He's cleaning up her mistakes. Hopefully, he's going to come here and do an investigation. I've done that complaint is in. The ball is in motion.
Okay.
It would be good if 50 of us said, look, this is what we're doing as a group. There's 50, it's not just one guy. There's 50 or there's 500 of us saying we are going to demand that we can see the books and where the money went.
Right. So
And
it can't be
we
one
want
person.
consequences.
Yeah.
We want to send an example to the future people of this county to say, look, these people will hold you accountable. They're done. But we're too complacent.
So here's part of what's the problem. So this is actually from our friend Linda Rigo, the gentleman that was in the position to help the county out. He's got a question here for me. He says, we've had the same accounting firm performance annual audits for the past 15 years. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002 requires new auditors at least every 5 years. Moreover, an annual audit should include examination of internal controls. The firm that does that has put a disclaimer on every one of its audits that it does not include internal controls. So, I mean, we're not even listening to what the auditor tries to say about internal controls. I mean, it's just, it's running amok.
Yeah. That should be something that's available to anybody that has questions or concerns or, you know, a need or a desire to see. I know.
We need to demand it as a group of people. You know, we've done recalls here, and we've taken commissioners to the ethics and found them guilty.
The fact that we can't look at a financial statement is like the biggest red flag of all. You can't, they're required to post that.
Yeah.
But there's no financial, you can't look at a bank statement or a financial statement because they don't have any.
Right. There are PII or personal identifiable information rules and regulations and laws that you can't violate, but is the information that we're looking for, I mean, we're not looking for people's names. We're not looking for addresses.
No.
You know, that doesn't matter.
Right.
We want the finance, the
Yes,
money.
absolutely.
I don't think any of that's classified.
It is not. And here again, when you see somebody with a ready tongue, oh no, you can't do that because there's private information on that. Right away, that was the answer. That was a lie. That was a rehearsed lie to deflect, to say, no, you can't do that. Well, we knew better. We were like, no. We're not looking at somebody's
It's my-
psychological
it's my money.
analysis.
Absolutely.
We don't care about somebody's history, an individual. We're not looking in the PR deal, okay? We're not looking at the HR. We're looking at where did the money go? But it was too fast. And I watch them. I watched Lucas. I watched Bill Kanda. I watched Tom Flower. Prince. I watched every one of them individuals, and they know it. They were elected officials, and they were our servants, and they know. Several of us had questions, and the deflection and the answer was so, it was just embarrassing. And the cool thing about it, it's audio and videoed. It's all right there. And it's a beautiful thing.
Is there a level of arrogance, do you feel, with the situation, with the people involved?
There's a huge level of arrogance. That's what I was saying about Bill Kanda, in particular with the information from the Justice Center.
Absolutely.
Why do you have that at your own personal office instead of at the courthouse? That right there is the biggest breach of trust.
So and it unfolds even better. So I go in and I ask Kelly Camper. I said, okay, so we got a $20 million Justice Center coming, maybe. I said, I'd like to have all the information that you have. She says, I have none.
The only
I
document,
have zero.
the only document they had was the lease.
The lease for the property. Right.
One document.
So then I start pushing a little harder.
$20 million proposal, and they only have one document?
One document. So I start pushing.
That's what you gave me last week, right?
No, that wasn't even it. That's the one that they ended up finding after we kept pressing on them and pressing on them. I'll send you the lease. It's like an 8 or 10 page lease.
Okay.
Do you still? So I was pushing Lucas. I'm saying, Lucas, you're pretty fresh in here, dude. You might not get in the quagmire with the rest of them. Keep yourself clean. Do the right thing. You have children, and I don't want to see you go to jail. Then I'm asking him. I said, where is the information on the Justice Center? Where is it? So I'm on the cell phone with him, and he's in the basement. And all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, look at what I just found." Do you still have that?
No,
booklet?
that's what I gave to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
I have that.
So that's the architectural, all the takeoffs and the cost and what they were hiding, really. Because Kelly didn't even have a copy of that.
No, and that's, I mean,
That's more suspicious behavior. It's stacked up so high. If I started listing it, and I have lists of it, I was going to bring it, but I'm like, we need to really talk about what you're going to bring to the plate as well. I mean, and people that are being engaged in the county, and
And again, that's something, that jail or justice center, is that something we really want to put on the shoulders of the sheriff? I mean, that's a tremendous undertaking. I mean, he's got his hands full, quite full, I'm sure, right now. And I'm certainly not speaking for him, but I think he probably wants more people. It's tough to get people to come and work for the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
People don't want to be police officers anymore.
And it's hard to get people in Westcliff.
Yeah.
A lot. How many?
Sure.
How many people that currently work in the school or work at the sheriff's office? How many of them live in a different place? How many of them live in Pueblo and commute here all the time because there's no place to live?
so that's getting, the sheriff's doing a very proactive job on that, and you guys need to
Good.
get intimate with him.
Good.
Because he is absolutely, he's wise planning, common sense, keeping abreast of the facts and working hard.
and he is. He's doing a great job. But here's the other part of that nobody really understands very well is they say, well, it's mandated. We're mandated, and
By
that's not.
whom?
That's not the
Yeah.
case. So there's regulations that they need to adhere to, and so
Absolutely.
all they need to do is go through and address these regulations. You and I talked about it, about one of the main things, how they're out of compliance has to do with when you were arrested in a particular county, you have the right to be tried in that county. So that's where you and I were talking about, Taylor, about the Sally Port, right? So the way it is now, they have to bring the inmate across the open courtyard through the courthouse parking lot and bring them into the courthouse and into the courtroom, right? So that part is out of compliance. But that could easily be fixed by putting a building on the south side of the courtroom where you can bring these inmates when you bring them up from Canyon or from Fremont County
Sure.
to be tried in the court in the county they were arrested in. You can bring them into this Sally Port and have them detained. Like
Problem solved.
Yeah.
problem solved.
Problem solved.
For a few $100,000, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Get
so
some
there-
cattle panels up there.
There's,
You know?
so there's a few things, right? I mean, yeah, the courthouse is old, and another big thing about the courthouse too has to do with the elevator, right? I mean, someone that's handicapped can't get to the second floor.
Sure.
But so does that warrant just these few little out of compliance things? Does that warrant having to spend $20 million, $40 million for a new justice center?
Right. All right, great point.
And the people already said we're not going to pay for it.
So on top of that as well, now we're compiling even more for the waste, for the sewage, for the two towns. This thing is so far-ficht-nugan, and it's not that tough. You just gotta want the right answer. You gotta desire what needs to happen. Them people don't.
The
I
problem,
mean, they were like, oh, let's just haul that sludge right over there. Let's haul it over there.
the inherent problem with that Round Mountain's faced with is they don't have a suitable leach field. We're on a volcanic ash, and it's silt, it's clay. Once you get it wet, it makes like cement, right? It just no longer. So I mean, most other counties that have a decent septic, they can put that water in the leach field and get rid of it. The problem with Custer County is eventually they'll have to try to dump that into Grape Creek. And so with all these, here the Wet Mountain Valley, whatever,
Oh, the
outdoors,
Oh,
right?
buddy.
They're going to try to get
That's a whole nother dog.
going to
and
try
pony
to get
show.
everybody to quit raising cattle and putting fertilizer on, but yet they're going to try to dump all the PFAS chemicals from the sewage treatment plant into Grape Creek.
Wow.
That's where y'all are at, right? You don't even know what you're talking about.
And they were very willing to do that. They were very willing to dump all of that sludge on the piece of property where the water was augmented from, the Johnson Ranch, to the two towns, and just above Grape Creek. And when you get rain or whatever, it was going to be a catastrophe.
And
we
they-
raised cattle.
They lied to us the whole
Oh,
time
the
about
whole
that. They
time.
tried to say it's going to be $1.2 million, and it ended up being $300,000 to haul it all the way. So they're hauling it down below, and I mean it's infecting the farm ground down below too. But I mean, at least it's not right on our front doorstep.
Right.
But these PFAS chemicals, man, I mean that's going to be a problem for.
We're in a time in creation where we just evolved into a very nasty. We've gotten away from the purity of what needs to happen. So all the plastics and all the Chinese landfill stuff, even the toilet paper, I mean, all that stuff has a lot of crap. You know what I mean?
Strong leadership. I think that's something that this county needs.
Oh, we have to have it.
And honestly, based off of our conversation and everything, I think Taylor's the guy, you know?
I touched.
I do too.
I touched on this, and I'll bring it back around again. Most of these actions, in my opinion, are all driven by money. Otherwise, why would they do it? Why would they lock us down on a lease that we can only build it for a government building unless the people that orchestrated that had skin in the game and they thought they were going to get the contract to try to build that justice center? So exactly what you said, Hans. The people that are involved, Bill, Kanda, right? Did you get paid by what's the hell's the Luke Bond and them? What the hell was the name of the?
I'm not going to think of that.
I can't think of it either.
Anyways, yeah. And they're a prison builder?
No, the sewage.
Oh, yeah.
Dang, I can't think of it offhand.
Anyways, that was some more suspicious. I mean, that was
But so,
downright
yeah,
crazy.
Why would Bill say, well, the creek is already infected, so let's just put more PFAS chemicals on it, right?
Instead of saying, hey, the creek
So-
is, we
so
need to get it cleaned
are
up.
you not getting? It's just too suspicious. Why would they act that way unless they were getting paid? And so that brings back to my point where when I talked to you, Taylor, it wasn't you already told me that you would do it, and you didn't even know how much it paid.
Well, I didn't know it paid anything. I assumed
So
it was a
that's
voluntary
pretty, you got my vote right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already
100%.
got my vote. So, and that means that's pure servitude. That's saying, hey, I'm here to have a good, strong vision, a united vision, because you have to have a vision. Where are we here and where are we going to be in 10, 15, 20, 50 years? And then work toward that. But and here again, my thing is keep the taxes low. I didn't come up here because the taxes are high. If I wanted to, I could have moved pretty much anywhere I wanted to. I came here because I can enhance the place, not change it. Carpentry and farming, ranching, that's what I came here for. That's what I do. And this place fit me to a T. If I wanted something like Boulder, if that was my belief system, I would have went there. My belief system fit here, and I wanted to come here and strengthen this. But I've been watching it get eroded for whatever reason, and I'm here to. We got to nip it in the butt. We got to get it done.
That's very frustrating. Very frustrating. I'm with you, Jimmy. This county is a beautiful, beautiful
My
county.
goodness.
I mean, it's. I mean, obviously, those folks watching know that, and we want to keep it that way, and we want to. But we certainly don't want our freedoms, trampled upon. And
Well, and I think one potential issue we have is mobilizing, because I know there's a lot of people probably watching. There's people out there that don't watch that care about these things, and they want this this dream that we all moved here, or we grew up here. I didn't grow up here. I moved here. You know, I'm a Colorado native, but I moved. So the first time I drove over those mountains, I said, I'm going to live here. I said, this is it. This is the Colorado that I grew up in.
We're happy to have you.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you. But I guess the point I'm trying to get at is people need to stand up and do something, right?
Yeah.
We need to build a movement with people that's going to support people like Taylor to actually make some change, get some accountability, and honestly, like, make Custer County great again. I mean,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
I mean, and it's a simple, and you know, people might say, oh, that's just a tagline or whatever, but no, not mediocre, not adequate, not good, great. Let's strive for greatness. Let's make this place something
So
great.
there again, when you
Again.
start talking like that, I'm already breaking things down, so it can go, so it can get done.
Yeah.
So we're going to find the word great. What is great? See, and then you start listening to things like that. And you
100%.
could brass tack stuff and make it happen.
Yes.
What makes it great?
Yes.
Is it
Objectives.
Common Core? More Common Core in the school? Is it more he-she bathrooms? You know, is it that? No, it's the opposite of that. You get into what is healthy and wholesome and moral and ethical.
Common sense.
So that's what we're saying, common sense. But common sense anymore is not that.
Yeah.
That is diluted. Now common sense is, well, what do you mean? He might be a little girl. He don't know. That's
Yeah.
the sense that we deal with. And that's common now. That's somewhat common.
Great point, Jimmy.
So we've diluted our culture to a point where how do you get that standard back?
Yeah, our
How
culture.
do we get that back? How do we instill that common sense, I'm going to say, back into the hearts and minds of the constituents, at least here? We may not get it anywhere else, but how do we get that here with 23 churches? 23 churches. And every person on that commission is a Christian. That's what pisses me off the worst. That's what irritates me to the very nth of why I'm sitting here, why we're doing this. That's what irritated me was, where is the standard of behavior? Do you have to be taught and retaught? Do I have to come in with the retard stick and hit you over the head? Because that's what's gone on for years.
Well-
People go, Jimmy, you got to drop the retard stick because it ain't taken.
Well, leadership, you know, and it takes somebody maybe from an outside perspective who's been out in the world, seen how things go,
I
right?
agree. I
And
agree.
that can come in, lend a hand, and serve the people, right?
But somebody who listens to the constituency.
Yes.
People who, somebody who will sit down with folks and have these discussions and say, I can't do this on my own. I need you with me to do this together and collectively.
And
I don't
like
have the answers. You do.
And I do like that. And I'm probably going to be a little biased because I'm going to come back down to the oath and I'm going to come down to the word common sense. There's things that are that are God-given rights. And when we start getting outside of that and encroaching on them, we're talking to somebody that we shouldn't even be talking. That should be a non-issue. And what we've done is we've got involved in those conversations. Somebody has to be able to shut them conversations down. Say, no. That doesn't work in a constitutional republic. That voids our liberties. But we haven't. We just go ahead and start debating, and then we compromise in something we never even should have been talking about.
Well, and-
Then we're done.
So let's get into this. Is one of the key things too. So when you made that comment, Hans, about leadership, that is indeed the case. But what Jimmy and I talk about day in and day out is ethics, right? What
Ethics
makes
and
you,
integrity.
what makes you what you are? And one of my greatest examples is holding the door open for a little old lady at the grocery store, right? You can just as easily slam it right on her face.
Sure.
But I mean, why? It's just the right thing to do.
Yes.
So here again, I'm a scripture person, and I love it because when you say that, Steve, it's when you're kind to others, you feed your own soul. To me, I think it's built in at the factory on most of us. We have natural compassion for people, and that tells us how to behave. That's a self-governing existence that's the Creator put right inside us.
And that is all true, but also the word repent, right? I've been doing the bad things for so long, and all of a sudden I seen the light, right? I am going to change my evil ways.
Yeah.
That's what repent is, right? You have a chance to maybe be a better person, to do the right thing when the next opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
That's
So here again,
Absolutely.
I'm going to say this. We live in such a culture where people's conscience has been severed. I deal with a lot of people, and I watch it, and I'm like, wow, that person doesn't fully consumed with self. Fully consumed with just self. If it ain't for me, if it's not for me, no. So we've got into this selfish, demented culture where we can't think to hold the door open.
Yeah.
Hey, here she comes. Hey, maybe I'll wait and I'll carry her groceries out for her.
And I think the good thing, just to dovetail off that, what everybody's talking about, the brilliance of our founding fathers is building the Constitution with the innate decree that all rights, human rights, are given by nature and God, right? Our Constitution is founded on that.
That's the first
Life,
and foremost.
Life,
Right.
liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not happiness, the pursuit of happiness, right?
Amen, brother.
And so the brilliance of it is that we as a people govern ourselves. We hold each other accountable.
Well,
you know?
and it says someplace in there to be a more, it's self-governing.
Yes,
And
self-government.
that's what I'm saying. If we can't govern our own individual tongue, our thoughts, our mind, our actions, but here we are in charge of a 12 or $15 million budget, but we can't even govern ourselves.
and it goes back.
That's the problem. It is a systemic cultural problem. Can't take care of myself, but I'm going to govern the county.
Consequences, and we talked about this quite a while back. Like, there's no penalty for lying, right? If you lie, Bill, if you lie to us right in front of our face, Lucas, you lied right to Chuck, right to his face about the low-income housing. Like, and so when we're talking about consequence and what we're just talking about, this ethics, ultimately, right, and self-governance, consequences that you're going to burn in eternity.
So that conscience is gone. That's what I'm saying.
And so, yeah,
They've
like you say,
severed,
there's
they've
no,
severed their
there's
conscience.
a disconnect there. People
There's
don't
a
understand.
disconnect.
Yep.
They don't have that self-governing.
They
I
don't
know.
have the fear of God, basically.
Absolutely, there is no fear of anything, even the Second Amendment.
Right.
I've asked them. I said, I'm wearing my First Amendment out. My Second Amendment is available. If you guys keep going down this road, I'm not threatening you with death. I'm just telling you my Second Amendment is available. That I haven't used that. I'm using my First Amendment right now. But we're to the point in this country, in this county, we have got to get our poop in a group fast. This state is out of money. And that's what Matt and I kept telling them. The chaos will continue. The madness will continue till the money runs out.
Yeah.
The money's gone now. Now the day of reckoning is upon us. And those people that made those decisions, audio and video recorded. Got to know this. This is all audio and video recorded. They were told by their bosses, the constituents, look, you guys are going to have to hedge things. We got problems here. You're going to have to start looking at it in the future and then look back at where we are. What can we do and that's not been done. So now they're like, oh, we're going to raise taxes. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Well, it's not the government for the government, supported by the people.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at.
Yeah.
They take our money at gunpoint and then waste it. And that has to stop.
Yeah.
We have to get back. We can call it conservative, we can call it fiscal, we could call it whatever we want to call it. But it still is going to come down to this is what's coming in, this is what's going to be spent. It's called a budget.
Balanced budget.
And we need to be able to save it. It's not hurry up and spend it before it's all gone, Bill. Oh, it's in there, we've got to spend it. No, you don't. So now we don't have a rainy day fund. If we do, it's very minute. It won't be enough to do much. So that's what we're talking about. And it's all Republican people that are in there. You guys are the problem. You almost look like liberals. You act like liberals.
You're spending the money like the liberals.
Well, they are.
You know, it's funny you bring that up, Jimmy, because the federal government, you know, it starts its budgeting process back at the beginning of the year. They're on a fiscal year, not a calendar year. So the fiscal year begins on October 1st. But they begin the process of budgeting for the following year in February or March of the prior year. So they have plenty of time to generate what they believe, what each department believes it will need for funding. And the problem with that too is you bring up the problem, and you know, folks don't necessarily spend it appropriately throughout the year. So at the end of the year, you're in a mad dash to get rid of it. Well, what happens to that money if you don't get rid of it? It goes back to the general fund. What's so bad about that? You know, it's still the taxpayers' money. It is not our money as government employees. It's not our money. It's money that allows you to do your job, to get the job done. But do you truly need that extra flashlight? Do you truly need, you know, a spare magazine for your gun when you already have 15? You know, it's waste.
So there again, this is absolutely what they've done with Doge, with Elon Musk and his group of people in there, discovering all the waste and abuse. We have that here. But how do we get in there and see the books? And then, are there any books to even see? Is it such mayhem?
Gosh, I'm
Is it such mayhem that nobody could figure that out? Is that their defense? Is that what they've connived? Is that what they've brought? Is that what they created to say, shit, even if they come in here and look, they won't be able to find nothing.
Well,
it's such a disarray. It's going to take, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's one of two things.
Yep.
Either there's maliciousness or it's complete stupidity, and in either way, neither one of them are acceptable, right? If they are actually that inept at taking care of business, they have no business taking care of our business.
First and foremost, they should come clean and say, look, I am incapable of doing the books. Braden knew he couldn't. He started handing out credit cards. They barely got a check to squirt out to keep the lights on in the building. Barely got it to squeeze out. And this is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and it's like, so why didn't they just go back and write a handwritten check, right? They're too, like, what about the good old days? Why were we caught up in this CIC computer system why didn't they just, the money's in the bank.
Here again.
You can write a check.
Here again. How suspicious is this? Tom Flower's the one that signed the contract for that computer deal. He's the guy that did it. He's the guy that went to ethics and they found him guilty. He was the bad apple. It was his pollen that contaminated that whole county building. And it started with his arrogance. But then I think other people during COVID compromised their moral integrity, thinking the sky was falling.
Well, yeah, everybody was supposed to be dead.
And I watched what they were doing. I was like, man, you guys are... I haven't put a mask on yet. And I ain't putting one on. Went in to get my license renewed. Well, you got to have a mask on. Nope, I'm out. See you later, bye.
I remember seeing people running on the treadmill with a mask on.
So here again, you got to contrast, and it comes down to, are you educated? Are you somewhat educated? Are you completely ignorant? You're good at one thing, but anything in the government, it's foreign to you and you don't want anything to do with it. And I think that's where the complacency comes from.
Well, and
You have to have a desire.
Well, and it's okay to ask for help, right? And I think a lot of people have ego, pride, don't want to ask for help.
Absolutely.
And I think that that might be a part of it of, you know, I'm in this position. This is my job. I don't want any outside help. And I don't think that's really conducive.
That's not servitude.
Well, it's not serving
That's
the people.
a great point, Hans.
Yeah,
That
it's,
is
it's
absolutely
okay to
the
raise your hand and say,
personality.
I just need some help,
Yeah.
and let's get this thing figured out. And here's my stuff. We didn't do it right. Here's all the mistakes. Let's you have somebody that can help. Great. Let's get all this stuff back on track. Like that would be welcomed, I believe.
And do we do a forgiveness statement? So you took $300,000, okay. You stole it from us. But if you tell us about it, we'll just forgive you. Is that what we do? Because I personally would like to hang them as an example to the future. And that's not really good karma, our thought on my process, me being a loving, kind individual. But at the end of the day, strong men are going to have to rise and take possession, because the women and children are going to suffer deluxely because we're sitting on our asses being sissies. That's what I'm concerned about.
I think
Just being politically correct. Oh, we can't hurt someone's feelings. Oh, whoa.
Well, it's the-
hurt someone's feelings.
the toxic masculinity, where being a man is not okay, right? It's toxic if you're a guy's guy, if you're masculine, if you like guns, if you go out. I mean, that's like a thing. I believe that's been the downfall of a lot of our society,
Well, it is.
because
Agreed.
Trick of the darkness.
and when the men start standing up and actually start saying, I'm going to do something.
Yeah, why else would a little boy think that he's a little girl?
Well, because
Yep.
exactly.
And you know, it's, you know, somebody who's biologically male can't necessarily compete in a particular sport, so he gets, you know, a transgender operation and starts competing against females and
And
ends
winning.
up hurting the females.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
So here again, the word
get it.
perversion. The word perversion.
yeah.
When we talk about common sense, we talk about uprightness, wholesomeness, godliness. That's what we're talking about. That's what has been displaced through the Common Core, the school system, and parents having to make money. Everybody's working, and the kids are kind of just left to themselves. So the environment's been created for this toxicity. Recognizing it and problem solving it, how do you fix it?
No, it's
Yeehaw.
definitely a deep one. And I always come back to the Pledge of Allegiance. Everything you need to know is in that.
That's right.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, under God, indivisible,
Yeah,
with liberty and justice for all. Everything you need to know is right there.
absolutely.
That is a good guideline
And
for how
now-
to be an
and
American.
now they don't want you to say that in the classroom.
Yeah.
And where else are you going to learn it?
And here again, I'm gonna go right back to the oath. The oath, when you take the oath, you're not yourself anymore. You have to be completely. You're gone.
Yes.
You got to go in neutral. You take yourself out of the equation. Your thoughts are based in this box right here. You breach that, you got a problem. Anytime you breach it, you got a problem. And there is where I think we need to go. And not only that, but I do want to put some kind of lesson together on the do's and don'ts of a commissioner or an elected official. What makes right, what makes wrong, and where's the law in all of it. And if you can't pass that test, and that's kind of where we need to be.
It's like an ethics test.
It's an absolutely, it sure is. And it can go a little bit deeper than that. I mean, just see where your strong points and your weak points are, where we might need to, help an individual commissioner. Okay, well, I'm a little bit weak in this, and I'm a little. So there can be educational things where we can make a strong commissioner, but it has to be in that oath. It has to. That oath has to be surrendered to, and if it's not, that's what we have now.
Yeah.
We don't, even if it's not the fear of God, even if it's not a God conscience, at least maybe the oath. And if we have to read it every meeting, say, look, this is the oath you've taken, so the decisions you make have got to fit inside this box. You can't get outside this. Because that was one of the biggest things. We don't serve you, Jimmy. We serve these other people. I'm going, really? Well,
It's a problem.
I don't represent your kind.
Yeah, I don't represent your kind, Kevin Day.
Kevin Day.
I could. I'm just telling you. You start talking like that, and then you've got me up to operating temperature. I'm good to go.
That's one of them things where you better recognize that it's still, it's still the wild, wild west, right? I mean, people die left and right every day. And so, be careful what you say, because you're not without, there's not without penalty.
Well, not only that, but when we can't get any civil consequences, when we can't get any consequences in being civil, and that's where our forefathers were at. They're like, we're going over here, and we'll kill you for what we're doing. This is my belief system, and yeah, we will kill you.
I think they tried to raise taxes by 2%, and that's what started the revolution.
So the modern day Boston Tea Party, here again,
2%,
the modern day
right.
Boston Tea Party
That's
is
right.
fixing to happen. Property taxes should have never been created. We've gone down this rabbit hole
Abolish the
of
IRS.
extortion
Yeah.
through the government by taxes. We've got everything's got to get reversed, and it's a hell of a big deal. I would just like to see the county. I'd like to see the books.
No, absolutely,
Yeah.
Jimmy.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
That's the bottom line. That's the
huge.
bottom line.
That's our
Jimmy.
personal responsibility right here, right
Yeah,
now.
because
How can you have a financial system without seeing books?
how can you have a financial system without a system?
So Lynn Arrigo was and Matt Miles were very instrumental, and Bill, what was Bill's last name?
Parker.
Bill Parker. So these men were extremely ethical. They are full of knowledge. 40-year trial lawyer, Lenny, 40-year CPA, created all kinds of accounting software and stuff. Big time. These were extremely severe. Parker was a county manager and ran his own business, several businesses. Very, very smart men. They were trying to help the county. They were going, whatever we need to do, man, we're going to help you. So that olive branch has been handed out. To me, it's guillotine time. Hang them or do the guillotine. I don't care which. But we need to come in and demand transparency, because there's problems there. If at least there's a confession. And at least somebody says, yeah, we didn't know what we were doing. We had our head up our ass, and we just kept kicking the can down the road.
That's
And
the arrogance that you talk about, Hans. They're so arrogant.
stiff-necked.
When Kevin Day tells Jimmy, I don't represent your kind. Oh, really?
Wow.
Really now?
Wow.
That's
He really
Long
said
hair? Wait, I can fix that. I'll just tuck it underneath my hand here for a minute, buddy. Maybe we can talk. Who knows? I don't know, but it was
that's
very,
disappointing.
there again, that was arrogant. But it also sounded like he was sold out to the state, that Polis was doing something for this county, and he was having to compromise.
and that's where Unicog comes in too.
So here again, when you start putting this all together, when you start putting it all, and it's a bunch, you can't, it's novel. You're not just, it's not a short story. It is massive amounts of, there's 7 years that I know of that is absolutely hysterical. So I don't know if we're going to have to get, hopefully you get in.
Yeah.
So our next.
So we're going to have to make a stand. The line in the sand is what I'm hoping. And I love getting along with people, discussion, kind of just letting things somewhat evolve, the way they will. Inside the oath, inside of ethics, and transparency, openness and honesty. If we can get back to that.
So Johnny up at Tony's Pizza, he's offered to let us come up there, and so I was almost debating to do next week for another meet and greet live, and have questions from the audience for Taylor to.
Oh, I'd welcome that. That'd be incredible.
I'm still trying to put it together. There's a lot of different things with the mics and the monitors and all that stuff. I'm not sure that if I can get that set up there. If not, so we're planning, folks. It's either going to be next Wednesday or next Thursday that we'd like to have a meet and greet up at Tony's, because Taylor's tied up during the weekends. Tony's is closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, so that pretty much just, and of course, we got the podcast on Wednesday, so
Right.
that really only leaves
Sure.
us actually Thursday unless we do a live edition of the podcast up there. So,
So that would be September 10th then, next week.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I really do think
That would be handy.
Yeah.
it's time. I mean,
Yeah.
we still have a lot of time, right? I mean, it's a year, it's like 14 months.
Yeah.
But the primary election will be coming up at the caucus, right? Or the set for the caucus will come up that it'll determine the primary,
Who's on it?
who's on the primary ballot. So that's really what we're trying to do, is get you in front of the people and get people familiar with who you are and what you represent. So
Right.
with that being said, folks, I mean, we can let you know about that. And then the honorary part about the papers is if we try to do something on Thursday, we'd basically have to tell them it's too late to get it in the paper this week to do it next week. So it's hard to get people
Sure.
to let people know. It's basically word of mouth is how
Well,
we're.
the Custer County community page, maybe some stuff on Facebook or things like that. Maybe that might be a way to shoot out a
And it
message.
very well could be. The other part to this is, absolutely, but somehow we've got to get the community stimulated enough.
Yes.
And that is one of the biggest problems up here.
There is a
And
lot
with
of.
George passing, with George Gramlich from the Sentinel passing, and then the Fosters have taken that over. They're bringing a whole nother group of people that are going to be knowing, you know what, we got to get involved.
There's a lot of people.
And those are some really, the few people that I know that are in that circle, they're your guys' caliber.
Okay.
Without a doubt. They are high caliber. But here again, they got kind of disgruntled because of Ann Barthrope running the Republican Party.
Yeah,
They got totally, they said, we don't want anything to do with it.
And I think that's another part of a problem that we have in our county. Not a problem, but a fact. Most of the people that live up here don't want to be bothered. They want to be left alone. They just want to do their
I'm
own
one of
thing. I'm one of them too.
But I found, I looked at it and there was a hole in the boat and the boat
Right.
was sinking.
No, exactly. And I think that call it the red pill, call it whatever you want, but just waking up and I've had enough, and I'm at that point, and I know Taylor's at that point, and everybody here's at that point.
It's funny. I
And I
could
think
not
more and more
believe-
people are
I
like
could
that.
not believe some of what I was hearing. I was like, wait a minute, this is Custer County. This is a red county. Everybody, they're conservative. They should know better. These are smart people. I mean, Bill Kanda, he's a retired military officer, right? I mean,
Geo.
he's a smart man. And Mr. Vogelsong, smart people, retired military. They're,
Navy guy.
yeah. But, I can't, I really am having a hard time absorbing all this. And just like, are you kidding me?
It's a
Is
shell
it
shock.
really this bad? And that's what it
Like I said, it's a novel, and if you haven't lived it, it's hard to even believe.
A good place to start is go to the courthouse and say you want to see the bank statement, a financial statement for August.
well, let's go to county commissioners meeting.
Absolutely.
Let's
When
go.
is that? It's on Wednesdays at
usually on
9,
Wednesdays.
right?
I missed the last one. I was in the National Forest when I missed that. But
So I've missed a lot of
The
them.
27th,
And when
I
they
think
see
it
me,
was.
they're like, "Yeah, I've kind of missed you, but not really." I'm like,
Well, and so
I'm saving it up, man. I'm
so
saving it up.
So here's one thing about the county commissioners meeting, and I've went through this. I've talked with Kelly about it. What's important, and I can really understand where they're coming from, right? And I've watched it go down, and I can sympathize with the commissioners. Is that you have people that are irritated and they want to come in and they want to voice their thing about. They want to voice their opinion about business that's not on the table.
Sure.
And that's a big problem, right? So what we need to do as constituents is go to Kelly and say, we want to put this on the agenda, and then they don't have any choice but to handle it. Otherwise you can see where they're coming from. It's like it's just like
Very disruptive.
what happened to the guy that bothered us.
Yeah.
We're in here with Byron and Katie talking
Absolutely.
about property rights, and this guy's wanting to talk about this and that, and he wasn't even invited or anything, right? And so, I mean,
So
it's,
here again, it's Caitlin Womack that's the clerk, or not the clerk, but she's the commissioner's administrator helper kind of girl. She does a lot of different stuff. Very, very talented. And don't get me wrong, we have dang sure graduated in different positions of not so derelict to a little bit derelict. And anyways, I think
Gotcha.
I think we're getting a little bit better. But I think it's her, but we'd have to get with one of the commissioners. And you gotta go through commissioner now in order for her to put it on the agenda. So there again, who was our commissioner? Bill Canda's mine.
Okay.
Who's your commissioner?
Bill
Bill
Candace,
Canda.
yeah, Bill Candace
Yeah.
Taylor's.
In his district.
And you're two,
I'm Lucas,
you're Lucas?
I think I'm in 2.
so you would be Paul.
Paul was
Okay.
also.
So we represent each.
So we got it. So what I would say is we need to go to our individual commissioner, because
So-
that's how they delegate. Although they are at large.
They must have changed
Wait,
that
wait,
because
well, they did.
like 6 months ago, all you had to do was go to Kelly and say, I want to bring this.
No more. I went in there and she said you got to go to the commissioner,
Well,
and the commissioner's got to go to Caitlin.
What they've done, see, is we've raised enough racket that they've gotten tired of the peanut gallery. So now they're making it harder and harder and harder for the constituents to come in and get business.
It's unfortunate.
So we need to
It's
as
another challenge. It's
a
another challenge
group
to
of
overcome.
people. And
What
we
a-
need to, and like I think you said it a couple weeks ago at the meeting. Just get an issue, one.
Yes.
Let's just break one.
Yeah.
Let's get one. And to me, it's finance.
Yep.
Now let's look at break the finance down. Start looking at where's the problem? Why is the problem? How have we gone so far down this rabbit hole where we've hired Redlands? We have the same accountant we've had for 15 years. We don't.
Same auditor.
Same auditor, yeah.
Well,
So-
yeah, and I think you had that message that you got from I forgot who sent that.
Lynn.
Yeah, from Lynn. Quote some statutes. Bring that up, get that organized, and say, and that's the thing is organizing with a clear, concise thought, following all the rules, doing everything appropriately, instead of, like you said, just people coming in and yelling and screaming and disrupting and stuff. Because that's not how the people conduct business. The people
Right.
have to conduct business in an orderly fashion. That's
You're
how
right,
it's
and
done.
they're always in a hurry to get it done.
Yeah.
Every one of them are in a hurry not to be our servant and not to put their time in. Not to have a public discussion. That's another thing I've got to bring up. There was no debate during the last election. It was handled by the Westcliff Institute. There was no debate.
That had to do with, the people in the Republican Party.
And-
Lisa Kidwell is the main one that said that they didn't want to debate.
And the other part of that was that Westcliff Institute is the left-wing liberals. So they're in cahoots together.
They're in cahoots together.
The Republicans are serving the liberals at our expense.
They're
And
all
if we don't get that through our heads,
they're all on this side where they think that they can just spend the money.
and here's the con. Here's the greatest con. And it just got showed to me again. This is Custer County. They're Republicans. What did you say? How did you say that? I was like, it's a con. So they have your confidence.
Don't get too far out. You might be out of the picture there.
And-
He's getting fired up.
Well, I'm pretty sore.
Jim.
Milked 2 cows twice today and did some plumbing and a little bit of carpentry. And anyways,
That's
it is what it is. But no, I think the problem is we got to get people involved. You stepped up. You're stepping up. Steve and I think we're trying to step up. Matt stepped up. Lenny
job.
stepped up. Nadine. There's a whole list of people. But we got to get a band together, and we've got to get the arrow. We've got to get the tip of the arrow
And
going.
part of what needs to happen, in my opinion, is it's like the overall consciousness. People have to get fed up enough that they'll actually do something.
Right.
Well, and educating people on the process and how things are supposed to work, and the voting process, and the precincts, and the caucus. If anybody's watching and wants to learn how we're trying to put something together on a very basic how-to of this is how caucus works, this is how things go, just to educate people so they know, because you might not realize it, anybody watching, but At the county level, at the caucus and precinct level, you as a voter, as a constituent, have the most amount of power in an election.
Right.
Your vote, as most people probably think in Colorado, your vote for governor doesn't really matter. You know, people are this and that, you know, oh, it's going to be a, you know, Democrat and all that. Well, that aside, at the local level, this is where your vote and your voice is the most powerful.
Absolutely.
And that should embolden people who are sitting on the fence thinking, maybe I don't want to. Wait, you're saying there's actually something that I can do to make a difference? 100%.
100%.
And the good thing about that is it only takes 2 to 3 hours, one day every other year.
So that's huge. That's monumental. The voice of the people can be consolidated there, you know. But here's another telltale sign of suspicious behavior about what's going on in this county. So we have precincts. We have commissioner precincts, and then we have the other precincts for
The CCR.
the CCR. There's no, so the person that is my precinct person, she doesn't email me stuff. There's no blanket email
No,
saying,
when
here's
the-
an issue.
Yeah, when the regime change happened, we quit getting emails. And the honoriest part about it is they've been collecting our emails ever since we've been going in there, because the little gal Joni Wilcox, that she's been collecting everybody's email for years. So they have all our emails.
So here again, the people that are in that, and I call it a cabal. It's extended from the courthouse into the Republican Party. They don't want anybody in there learning about the Justice Center. They don't want to email issues and say, hey, we need to discuss this. That's where the voice of the people is where it's consolidated first, is in those precincts. Those precinct leaders should be saying, I have a representative group of people that I need to keep abreast of the facts,
Well,
but they won't do it. I begged them to do it.
Yeah, and that's another thing
Right.
too that we're working on fixing it. And legally there is too many people per precinct. So we need more precincts so that our representatives can represent a more manageable number of people.
Makes sense.
There happen to represent. There's only 6 representatives to represent all the whole county.
With the elected officials that are on
But
all that.
the representatives, the PCPs, the precinct committee people,
Yes.
our representatives besides the elected officials, there's
Yep.
2 per precinct. And what they're talking about somewhere between 6 and 9 precincts, which would give you 12 to 18 people
Right.
instead of 6. And so they're trying to work on that, but then
See, that would spread out the voice of the people.
then you get people like Lucas saying, well, we
Right.
can't even get enough people to show up to we don't know where we're going to do it. It's like all they want to do is make excuses because they don't want to relinquish the power.
Absolutely. It's deflection. They keep deflecting.
We are going to get enough people. I've already talked to 15, 20 people, and I've only had one person tell me that they might not be able to make it to caucus.
Yeah, and in this county, a handshake and a look in the eye actually means something.
You bet.
And that's super important. You know,
I mean, it's the old ways, and it's unfortunate that we're a sole bastion of that. You know, I mean, your dad, you know, again, like Hans said, handshake and a look in the eye. I mean, your dad and my dad loved talking to your dad. You know, just that integrity and the honesty that just pours from your dad. You know, and my dad always told me, Taylor, honesty and integrity. When you die, that's all you're gonna.
That's all that
you're gonna
matters.
have.
That's all you got.
that matters. So
I was raised the same way.
yeah.
So here again, it's going to be those good values against bad values. It's going to be light against dark. And if good men don't stand up and start doing something
Yeah.
to combat the darkness, too bad.
Well, and so that's why Hans, why we've had you come on this evening too, because you have some experience with some of this campaign
Yeah.
stuff, and so we're building. I don't know much about it personally. My mom was a big part of Lynn Atterbury and Kit Shy and a lot of these other people that, and of course Mary Seifert and all of that group of people that kept this together, but they're not here anymore, right? So we're going to have to kind of try to pick up the pieces, and Jack and Gene understand a lot about the workings of the caucus, and
Wealth of knowledge.
Twyla Giroux knows a lot about that too. I mean, all the caucuses I ever went to back in the day, she was the one that ran them. So I mean, there's a lot of people that we can rely on. So luckily, we have enough time here to begin to formulate a plan, and so we're going to work diligently, folks, and anybody that has expertise that wants to lend a hand here in any way possible. Of course, financially is always needed as well, right? So I mean, what we need to do is it's just it's infancy, right? It's just basically an embryo that's just starting to grow here. But that's what we're here for. That's why I've invited these gentlemen on this evening, so we can talk about this kind of stuff. We can begin to get the word out here, and we're going to proceed in a fashion so that we can do something about the problems that exist.
Sure. That's great.
That's the agenda.
Good.
That's absolutely the vision that we're establishing, is make Custer County great again.
And I appreciate
love
that you
that.
guys inviting in at the time and
Yeah.
just talking about this. It's what you two guys are doing, and
Yeah.
is amazing.
So the newspapers too, we need to start publishing as you guys delve into the county and you start kind of seeing different things. We need to be able to expose that.
Yeah,
I used
to the
write.
people.
I used to write some. I am fatigued, and they depend on you wearing out. I'm not done, but I had to take a break. I had to go back to making money instead of pounding on the. So, it's a journey. It's a big journey. But when you find out that there's only 3 or 4, maybe 5 people that go, wait a minute, what are you guys doing? They're
Yeah,
just sitting there going, nobody's even looking, man. We got this.
Yeah.
We got this.
There's not that many people that, I mean, sheer numbers is going to be the deciding factor, and that's the way that it should be.
Yes.
It's the majority rules.
Well, to a point inside that box of the oath and the Constitution, I mean, it's a democratic process in a republic.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
like
yeah, so the
when we say no, we don't want the Justice Center, means no,
that means
we don't
no.
want it.
What part of no didn't you get?
Yeah, let's ask a third time.
And then to find out that it was just backburnered, and then it's been cooking all this time, and they had all this pertinent information that they didn't share with us.
Right.
And then the land deal. I mean, you start listing this stuff, and my affidavit, I haven't given my affidavit to the DA. It was a phone affidavit. And there was a gentleman assigned to it. There's an agent assigned to it. But if there's 4 of us get together, and I can show you, I'll share you the list. And I'll point it out. I can show you audio and video on most of it.
And that's the thing too, right? I mean, it's not like all this information is public knowledge,
Yeah.
right? It's just a matter of taking the time.
Certainly should be.
And that's the other ornery part about it too. Like Jimmy says, there's 700-800 recordings. Well, and it's 2 to 3 hours a piece, right? So if you want to watch all of that, like, you ain't going to get through that in the next 3-4 years, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have somebody that understands, and Jimmy has a lot of that stuff timelined of when to look, what days, what times you can find this. We've done quite a bit of work on trying to compile our proof of what we're talking about.
Very commendable. Very commendable, and again, time consuming.
Oh,
like
it's
you said.
unbelievable, and it's not something that you wish to do.
No.
But you have
Sure.
a duty to yourself, your wife, your neighbors, the women and children, your county, your country, and your God.
Sure. No, absolutely.
And if you don't do
God above
it,
all, man.
if you don't do it,
Yeah.
what's going to happen when you get to the grave? What did you do? Oh, you just ignored that.
Ignored it.
You knew about it,
Yeah.
but you just turned a blind eye to it.
See, Steve, that's why I'm here, because there's a need, and it needs to be addressed, and I'm here.
Yeah, right on.
I'm
I'm here for you, and I'm here for us, and I'm here for the
Yeah.
future of this county. I don't want to wake up to high taxes. I've got to sell my place. I've got to try to find some place to move. I really don't want that to
And
happen.
the last thing too, Taylor, that we're trying to do is influence you, right? We're just trying to educate you.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
look at what we got.
We
bud.
certainly may not agree on certain topics, but you know, the the main thrust is to fix this county and
That's the
fix the
goal.
finances.
And if it's
And-
done softly, with forgiveness,
Sure.
without any retaliation, but we can get to zero, we can
Yeah.
start over. It's going to be hard on me to let all that stuff go, but I can. I can let it go. As much as I don't want to, our future is at stake.
Yeah.
And if you don't let some of that stuff go, here again, I'm somebody that says, no, we need to hold them accountable. So anybody else that sits in these chairs or works in this county building understands ethics.
Yeah.
And they're controlled by that light instead of, well, yeah, I know, I took the
Yeah.
few days off and now you can take a few days off and I won't say anything. And, it starts to be a carnival of events. And instead of them holding each other strong and to strong ethics, that's eroded.
Well, yeah, do the right thing, especially when nobody's looking.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you
Especially when nobody's looking.
Because
Yeah.
God's always
go.
looking.
Because Christ is watching.
The eyes
He's-
of God are everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's a constant. It's built in at the factory.
That's right.
Just is whether you like it or not.
That's right.
Just is.
That's right. Oh man.
Well, with that being
Fantastic.
said, I guess maybe Hans, being you got some technical stuff, I mean, we'll kind of see if we can't maybe put together some kind of a Facebook page if you think that might.
Oh
be-
yeah, that no problem.
And something that people can kind of stay abreast of, and comments are always welcome, and I guess we'll just proceed and see how it progresses.
Yeah,
and,
I think the digital way is a good first prong approach. It's simple, it's easy, it's free.
Yeah.
And just try to get
Sure.
the contact and just try to. That's a good way to. People are always doom scrolling. They're always on their phone, so it's a good way to reach out to a lot of people that maybe aren't paying attention, that maybe are fed up, and like I said, maybe want to get involved. And want to support somebody like Taylor, who says, "Here's somebody who's no nonsense. Here's somebody who wants to come in and fix problems. I can get behind this guy."
somebody
I
that
appreciate
has
that.
roots in this county.
Yeah, somebody who's
Yeah.
born, or
Yeah.
has
This
its
is home.
roots and born
This
in
is home.
Colorado, and yeah.
Regardless.
But it's been outside of the county as well and has obtained a lot of knowledge and experience.
Absolutely.
With human nature, with dealing with the government, with accountability, with integrity. That's who we need. We need a statesman. We don't need a politician. We need a statesman.
Do you ever think you're going to be a statesman, Taylor?
I never in a million years thought I'd be a statesman. But
Well,
this is
it's because you have to.
yeah.
Chip off the old block.
I felt tapped to do it. Steve reached out and tapped me, and it's my turn. It's my
Perfect.
time.
That's
So
awesome.
I
One
was
of my
like, okay.
favorite people to ever visit with in this whole world was your dad,
Yeah.
man. He was such a
Oh, yeah.
smooth guy, and I
He
mean,
was.
he had some real interesting questions, and sometimes
Yeah.
he'd sure make you think about how you were going to answer. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
like always lighthearted and joyful, and,
Yeah.
and just pleasant to be around, man.
Yeah, he was. I'm surprised he never ran for any office, but yeah, he would have been good.
Well, that's the shoes that we're trying to fill here is that salt has left the planet
Yeah.
and it's our turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that's
Next
how I look
generation
at it.
steps
Got to
up.
carry the water.
Next generation
Yeah,
steps up.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we just happen to be in a very far-ficknugan time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a weird time.
Well, and all the bad stuff, but it is still the greatest time. I mean, this
Absolutely.
Right
is
now.
the pinnacle of
Yeah.
like what.
Yeah. Look what's happening across the nation, and I think, Hans, you alluded to it where, a couple of weeks ago you mentioned, you believe that this movement is happening across the country.
Yes.
And
And although I
not
believe
just here.
Again, I'm a political nerd. I spend a lot of time on X looking at stuff and just doing my research and reading art documents and articles. And this type of movement is happening all over the country in small communities. It is. And again, I don't think the big thing to take away from this is like, everything's bad and, the blah, blah, blah. It just needs to get back to where it was.
Absolutely.
And it needs to,
It
like,
needs direction.
and
Needs
I never
some
met
direction.
both. I never met both your fathers or anything, but from what you're saying, that type of man, that type of leadership, and it could be a woman, whatever, but that type of integrity, that type of salt, that's what we need to strive to be.
Right.
I was
As people.
talking with a real good friend of mine. he works with this company called Veritas. So they build,
Yeah.
they Amazon and McKesson and YKK and General Mills, and I mean he runs all this packing stuff. But I was telling him, I said, man, the key to finding a solution is understanding what the problem is. Diagnosing is what we're doing here, folks. We're diagnosing what the problem is.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that we can find a solution is to understand what the problem is. And so that's, we're not really trying to be doom and gloom. What we're doing is to say,
Yeah.
this is what the problem is.
Yeah.
And so now we can find a solution.
We're gonna face the facts. We're mechanics. A good mechanic is not just a parts changer. He's an analyzer. He can figure it out first before he starts throwing parts at it. That's kind of what we're doing. We're analyzing and looking at the situation. I just happen to have been just slushed around in it a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So that's all I can bring to the plate. I do, like other people, much more persons, people that can get along
Yeah.
and can be gentle and stuff. I'm really not that guy. I'm a no nonsense person. It's like, no. This has to stop now. This is not, oh yeah, we could kick the can down the road. You only got another year to go before you're out of here. Be okay. Just go and keep that credit card. No one's looking.
But
Right.
Jimmy, those are the movers and shakers. I mean, those people like you make things happen.
Yep.
And
We'll see how it
commend you.
goes.
Yeah.
We got a good sheriff. I think we got a good person in the welfare department. I think we got a fairly decent HR guy now. The finance guy is the guy that's been there for 7 years, had it all in his head. We call him Cranium. So we make fun of this to stay lighthearted, although it's very, very serious.
right.
So I think hopefully we can get to the bottom of it.
Well, and we have an amazing veteran service officer, VSO, and Dominic
We sure
Eddington.
do.
Great.
He's
Yeah,
probably the best VSO I've ever met.
He's probably the
He's-
best in the state.
He might be one of the best, if not the best, in the state.
Yeah, so he's brought in, I think he's responsible for like $750,000 coming into
Yeah.
the county through the veterans.
Yes.
Maybe $1 million.
Yeah, I think more than that.
Yeah.
It's huge. I've been to the meetings where he gives his report.
Yep.
Very stellar.
And he's accountable. He's transparent. That's again, it's a great model to look.
So that's what we're asking for in all of the servants that are getting compensated with taxpayers' money. That's where the ethics starts. When you start receiving taxpayers' money, you're held to a higher standard of behavior. You can risk your own business. You can be risky and connivance and plotting and stuff like that with your own company. That's fine. But when you're a public servant, you're held to a higher standard of behavior. It's accountability. You're a trustee. You don't exist. You're a neutral. You're a servant. People don't get it because they're too selfish to be a servant. They can't be a servant because they're too about self. And then when you get 4 or 5 or 10 or 15 of them together, that's a cabal. Now you got connivance. Now you have a downfall. Now you have money. Now you got money problems. And you can't fix the books because if you do, somebody could see where the money went.
Right.
That, to me, is my suspicion. Now, if they're just so stupid they don't know what they're doing, okay.
Either one of them's intolerable.
Either one of them's
Oh, yeah.
intolerable.
Obviously, it takes proof, and that's difficult to get.
So here again,
Right.
evidence. So we said, do not. They were gonna.
Evidence.
Mikey says you got to stand. You're
Oh,
about to
sorry.
Get
so,
out of the
so
picture.
they were going to shred a bunch of paperwork, and we said no. You're not
Yeah.
shredding nothing. So stop that right now.
Good.
And then when the credit card thing came around, they didn't have receipts for them,
Yeah, so they're in there. They're writing up receipts.
and we got a 2-hour recording of this guy talking. He doesn't even know it was recorded. But in the state of Colorado, if one of the parties know that it's being recorded, you're good to go. So there's a stack of evidence.
Wow.
A stack. But I think they're just so bold about what's going on. They're like, that's just Jimmy. He'll go away pretty soon.
But yeah, so the solution, folks, right now is education. Caucus is coming up. We're going to do our best to get Taylor in front of the folks. We do have that email list, right? The email list that we use for the Red County, right? I mean, that's 600-700
That's a good start.
registered Republicans.
Yeah.
So we will help Gene and Kim have that
Okay.
list. They'll help us put that together so that we can send that out, and then people can start
Sure.
getting on this social media. I mean, it's just the easiest way to go now on social media, so you guys can do whatever you want, Twitter, X, or, create an X account or Facebook or whatever you
Cool.
think. Hans, we're gonna let you kind
Okay.
of
Awesome.
take that on, and
Yeah, I think we'll have a conversation, figure out what's best for
Yeah.
the strategy, and figure out what best way to reach people, and make a decision on that. But if you guys are having this meeting next week, and if it does happen up at Tony's, I can try to get some information handouts put together for people if they're interested in the caucus process.
oh,
and,
that'd be great.
yeah, just some informational stuff to kind of get people educated on how this actually works and how they can participate.
Yeah, and I mean, we could, I don't know if you know about generating the QR codes or whatever too, but a guy can have something simple so people can
Oh, there you go.
get right on to the digital part of it. I mean,
Perfect.
a guy can have handouts too, but maybe just some flyers too that have the QR code so
Perfect.
they can
Sure.
lock right into it. And
Now, you got to tell my wife she's going to help me. I'll let you tell her.
okay,
Just
I'd
kidding.
like to say I was as digitally savvy as you guys, but
So yeah,
well, I'm working on it.
if we need to think of some kind of fundraising thing too, I mean, that could come to light.
Yeah.
well,
Right.
and that's something that maybe we need a little help with. I mean, I know that there's strict rules about campaign finance, so we need to get some people that understand what needs to happen. I don't, right? I mean, I just don't. I know that it is, but I don't know what it is. So,
Right.
I mean,
Shit, there's 100 and some. Was it 200 pages? 200 pages of that finance campaigin laws. Bunch.
Sure,
I
it's
mean,
accessible
here-
on the web, no doubt.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good.
But yeah, there's a lot. We just live in a very complex society.
when it at the end of the day, it's real simple. All you
It
got to do
is.
is just keep track of what your
Yeah.
donations.
It's a golden rule.
Sure.
It's just a golden rule.
It's not like
Yeah.
we got to put it in a special little portal and fly around the moon or whatever, right? We just need to count how
No, but
much
when-
we got.
But when
Yeah.
somebody gives you something,
Sure.
there's a protocol. You got to have their occupation, their name, their address, phone number, things like that has to be
Okay.
followed. And it's basic stuff. It's just common sense. Here
Well,
again, it's common sense stuff.
A lot of that is I know for sure that's the way it is with the Republican Party. I don't know if it's that way, if the candidates are scrutinized the same or not.
Yeah, we can do some digging.
I can't think of anybody right offhand that we could ask. Probably Jack
I
would
was
be
going to say Jack might be a good resource.
the good start.
Maybe Ann Barton.
Awesome.
I'm gonna leave that to you.
And on that note,
Yeah, with all that being said, my phone's about to give out here. Because once our connection goes dead, then our producer can't hear us what we're doing, so.
Well, Mikey, thanks. Big thank you. I know you've been fighting some crud there, buddy.
Yeah, and gentlemen, thank you for
Yeah,
this
thank
evening.
you, Steve,
Yes, sir.
and,
Yeah,
you.
thank
and,
you.
and
bet.
Jimmy.
Right on.
No,
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hans,
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, buddy.
Hans, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks. You guys, I can't tell you how
Good,
much.
good deal. Thank you. Thank
Jimmy,
you. Big
Thank
time.
you, man.
So,
So we're
Thank
gonna
you,
make.
thank you.
yep, with that being said, folks, we'll catch you next week. You'll
Yeah.
either see us here again next week or potentially up at Tony's. And as always, catch us on the newsletter. With the email, you can see what's going to happen. So stay tuned. Have a good evening.
Great.
God bless.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.